All right, guys, so I want to show you how you can configure local YUM repositories on a Red Hat Enterprise Linux system. And I'm using Red Hat 8 as an example here. So I have here a system that I've installed, and I have mounted the ISO file that I use to install the system under /mnt. Okay, so that is the ISO file which we will use to install our applications from. So a repository in Linux is just like your App Store on iPhone or your Google Play, your Play Store in Android, or Microsoft Store with the Microsoft operating system. So Linux has every flavor of Linux has its own repositories where you go to download applications or any other software for the server. Okay, so so if I actually move to /mnt and just ls, so we have upstream and base OS, which are the two directories in our ISO file where all the applications reside. Okay, so we will create a file in a location specific for repositories, and we will create a file and point it to this location to tell the system that to look for at this location for the applications. And that is because it's gonna be temporary. So the reason why I'm doing this is just so that I can install HTTP Apache software so that I can then configure this system so that I can point other systems in my environment to this server to come to this server and look for applications to download, because I don't want to take up 11 gigabytes of space on each of my servers. I prefer to spend that 11 gigabytes of space just on one server. Okay, if I was willing to do that, to spend this 11 gigabytes on all my servers, then I will just create a directory and copy these applications to that directory and then use it to create a file and point to that directory for the applications. And I will have to do that for each of my systems. So that's not what I want to do. That's why I'm just using this temporary mount point. Okay, so I need to move to the repository directory, which is hc yum.repo.d. Okay, that is the default file placed there by Red Hat. However, we need to create a file that ends with .repo. That is how the system knows that it's a repository file. So you can call it anything, but it has to end with .repo. So I'm calling my local.repo. Okay. And then I'm just going to give it an ID. I will give this ID repo1 and then give it a name. I will call it upstream. Okay. Base URL is the most important thing in this file because that is what points to the location where the applications are. So it's a file, and the location is mnt upstream. Okay, and then enabled. Are we enabling this repository or not? Yes, we are. So we give it a 1. If we were not, we would give it a 0. GPG check. So GPG is some key that a server needs to check and compare with some key at the location of the repository before a download is allowed. But we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that check because the applications are already on our server. So we say no to GPG check. Okay. So I'm just gonna copy this and then paste it here and just do a few edits to create the second repository. The second repository is base OS. Base OS. And this is repo 2. So save the file and quit and move back to the home directory there, and then clean your yum tool. Yum clean all. It removes all the files that were cached on the yum tool, and then yum repo list. Now you can see your repository, the repo ID that we gave and the repo name that we gave. So now we can store Apache. So I will do http, yum install httpd, and it's gonna download from those repositories and install for me. Then I will enable and start the Apache server. So systemctl enable --now httpd, and the system has been started and enabled. Status, let's check the status, httpd, it is up and running. Okay, so the next thing is, let's check enable the firewall. Let's allow HTTP traffic through the firewall. Okay, and we want to allow it permanently because we don't want to have to do this each time our server restarts. So add service, and the service we want to add is HTTP. Okay, warning already enabled, which means it's already good to go. So the next thing to do is I want to copy the upstream directory and the base OS directory into the root directory of Apache. So I will cd to /mnt. I would let me rs so I can see clearly what I'm doing. So I'll copy dash the upstream. I want to copy it into /var www.htm. Okay, I'll be back when it's done. Okay, that is done. So I will just recall the same command and do the same thing for base OS. Okay, so that was fast. So I will just restart the HTTP daemon. So systemctl restart HTTPD to make sure that it identifies the new stuff that has been added to it. So at this point, I'm just going to open up a web a browser here I'm gonna open up a browser and pull it over here. First of all, I need to check what the IP address of this server is. So that is 101. So I will copy that, then I will paste into the browser. Okay, that shows the default Apache page for Red Hat, which means that our website is up and running. Now I can do a /app stream, and right here I have the packages. So all the applications that you can install are in these packages. So you have thousands and thousands of applications that you can install right here. And also I can check the other directory, base OS, and the base OS packages are right here. Okay. So right now I have another Red Hat system right here. Run repo list. It doesn't have any repositories configured. So I'm gonna configure this to download its packages from the previous server that we have configured to be a repository server. So I'll just move to the location for the repositories. Okay, as usual, the default Red Hat file is there. Then this time around, I will just create a file local.repo, and I will just continue, and then I will give a repo ID, repo1, name app stream. Okay, base URL equals to, so this is where the change is coming. Okay, so the base URL for this one is going to be HTTP, because we are using the HTTP protocol to pull these packages in. So // the IP address of the repository server, let me go back and copy it right here, okay, and paste here, and then /app stream, enable one GPG check 0, and then I'm gonna do the same thing that I did before, and I'm gonna create the next repo. So I will remove upstream and put base OS for the second repo. Okay, the name of this repository is base OS, and we want it to have a repo ID of repo2, and then save and quit. Okay, okay. So yum clean up. Okay, we have cleaned our yum tool. Now we do yum repo list. So we have our repositories. Now let's download something. Yum install httpd. Okay, HTTP has already been installed. So let's install vsftpd. Okay, so right now we have configured this server in order for it to download packages from another server and install. So we don't need to waste our 11 gigabytes of disk space on each server we configure. We can always point to that server and download our packages. Thank you for watching, and you can subscribe to my channel if you want to support me to do more tutorial videos like this. And another way to support is to like and comment. Thank you.